check if it is going live.
Okay, sure. It's not live on my end unless you've changed your name. You're on Twitch, right? Not YouTube?
Oh, I'm on YouTube actually.
Oh, you're on YouTube. Okay. See, I was
Yeah,
checking your Twitch channel. I don't know your YouTube channel off the top of my head.
there's a lot of heroes journeys out there apparently.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is a pretty. Anytime you get two generic words like that, it's pretty, commonplace name, right?
Hello everyone, it is me, Hero's Journey, back with another stream. I haven't streamed in a long while, so I thought I'd bring in the one, the only canadagraphs. How are you doing, canadagraphs?
I'm all right. A little warm here, but besides that, all right. So yeah,
Since we're,
if you see me like wiping my forehead or something, it's probably sweat. It's warm.
oh, don't worry, it's the same, probably like, I think like 92 degrees in my house right now.
Let's see what's 92 in Celsius.
So since we're limited on time, this is just gonna be like a quick going through all the scenes, and I'm gonna be doing a more in-depth video when the movie actually gets released to DVD, because there's a lot of stuff that I forgot in the movie. So let's get, so the first scene, I've got my notes here. So it said 3 dozen years ago his pod crashed on Earth. Does that mean he's 36 years old?
Did it say 3 dozen? That's kind of a weird term to use. I can't see. I know there was a whole bunch of threes, and I don't remember the exact time breakdown of each of them. But 36 sounds realistic. I thought it might have been. I'll take your word that it's 3 dozen. I don't remember the time breakdowns. The only one I remember is the last one was like 3 minutes when he lost his final battle. All the other number threes, I don't remember what they are now. But let's say it is 36. Sounds roughly about right. I don't know what David Cornsweat's real age is, but he's probably somewhere in his like late 20s to early 30s. So
I believe he's 32 years old.
yeah, 32. Yeah. So yeah, playing a 36-year-old perfectly in that range,
So, in the scene, apparently Superman was defeated by the hammer of, I'm gonna totally pronounce this wrong.
Boravia.
Yes, thank you, Catagraphs. I don't even know how the hell to pronounce that. I even forgot the name. I had to look it up. When I got home, I had to look it up.
I had to, because I did a review already on my channel, and on there I had to remember what the name of the two countries was. So I had to actually Google it because I also forgot.
Are those countries fake or are they real?
They're fake. Yeah.
So this is gonna be a recurring theme throughout the movie. Lex Luthor using the communication strategies. What do you think about that?
I mean, I expect clever ideas out of Lex Luthor, and that is a clever idea. Like, he played Ultraman like a football coach in the NFL, calling out plays to his quarterback, telling him, do this, go do that. Next, you have to do this. That is a strategy I expect of Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor, we all understand, Lex Luthor is a physical human being, couldn't scratch Superman, but he can outsmart him with using the brawn of an Ultraman. So he took Ultraman's strength and gave him Lex Luthor's, thought process. So Lex Luthor's doing no physical harm to his body. He's just sitting in a pod, calling out the plays, and Ultraman's doing his bidding. It is very clever, and I do like that idea, because I expect Lex Luthor to come up with a clever idea to fight Superman and that was clever. So yeah, I'm pretty on board with that.
How? So we know that he used a format where he said a letter, and then he said a number. And we
Mhm.
know that the team that he was using, as well as Hammer of Barovia, and like you mentioned, Ultraman. How long have they been practicing that? Because we know Lex Luthor is a genius, but all his other people had to memorize the letters and the numbers and what action that was as well.
Yeah, I mean that takes a little time, obviously. I mean, it's no different than if you're the quarterback of a football team. I don't know how familiar you are with sports, but like a quarterback for a football team has to have a plethora of plays. Just the ones that they use all the time, they have just like banked in their brain all the time because it's just common knowledge that you have to know. And then usually you'll see like a quarterback on the field if they're using one of their trick plays, they've got like a little list written on their arm, like under a wristband or something like that, for like extra plays they need to think of. So they just like move it to the side. So these guys probably have something on their computer. They don't even actually need to know it. All they have to do is type in A9, right? The A9 goes into the computer. The computer already knows what the play is. The computer has that knowledge. It's a computer. They necessarily don't need to know that information. They just have to type in the coordinates, right? So I think they don't need to actually memorize it. They just need to hear a command and know I'm in charge of the A's. I have to put in A9. Next guy hears C14. He's like, I'm in charge of the C's. I got to type that in. They don't have to know how the play is going to work, right?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with football, so I guess you're the football expert of the stream.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
So like in my notes, I probably have these in the wrong order. But after the situation with the hammer guy, we had a scene, right? We had a scene of Lois Lane having an interview with Superman. What did you think about that? I know I saw your review. You did a great job on that, and I thought
Yeah.
the scene with Lois and Superman, I think that really shows how this is a Superman who he's not at the point that Tyler Hoechlin's Superman is, right? Because Tyler Hoechlin, he's already a father, he's got teenagers. Tyler
Yeah.
Hoechlin's Superman has had years to control his emotions, right? We see throughout Superman Lois that he's very calm at various times so that when he loses it, that's when you know, oh, okay, this is bad. Well, David Cornswet, I think that's how you pronounce it, his Superman, he's still learning all that stuff, so that's why when he's talking to Lois, I don't want to say lashes out, but he gets like frustrated and stuff. What did you think about that scene?
I liked it for several reasons. First of all, um, Lois Lane played the part of a media savvy interviewer perfectly. Like I would expect any quality journalist to ask hard hitting questions, regardless how well they know the person as a friend or in this case a romantic partner. You're interviewing them as a professional, so you have to treat them as you would any other person that you're interviewing, and she did. She didn't, send them in some softball questions. She asked them real hard questions, and Superman or Clark obviously felt a little defensive about some of those. And I think any reasonable person, and I understand Superman technically isn't a person. I'm not gonna like debate the technicalities of that. Any reasonable being would feel attacked about the questions because they're supposed to. A journalist is supposed to put you off guard. A journalist is supposed to ask you stuff that is going to possibly make you slip up, possibly make you, because if you just ask them all the questions they already know the answers to, it's a layup of a conversation. If I just go to you like, oh, here's question A that we already discussed, here's question B that we already discussed, you're not going to slip up. But if I ask you a question you're not expecting, suddenly we might get to see the real answers come out when you have to start thinking on the spot of the answers. Lois Lane did an exceptional job. Lois Lane did what any quality reporter should do. And I think Clark reacted reasonably because He's being confronted with hard hitting questions. He's probably feeling a little hurt that his romantic partner is hitting him with these questions, even if he understands that's her job and she's doing it the way it's supposed to be done. It's just, I mean, I keep going back to human nature, even though I understand he's not human. But it's just like human nature that you're going to feel a little attacked by this person that you trust. I think both characters played that exceptionally well. And I think I said in my review, I think they must have had somebody with a media background come in and help them with writing that scene because it was done really well on both sides. Lois delivered like a journalist, and Clark delivered as someone being interviewed on the spot. I think it was one of the stronger scenes in the episode or the movie.
What did you think about that scene having the aspect of, like Lois brought up, like, oh, did you go? I think it was Lois. He's like, did you go into the airspace like with permission and stuff like that? Like, getting to the government aspect, like, did you
Yeah.
talk to the generals?
She asked if you talked to the president and all that stuff. I mean, again, if you're the interviewer, you need to ask those questions. You can't just assume that he did or didn't do that. You need, even if you know the answer. Like if I'm interviewing you and earlier you were like, "Oh, I really like apples. That's my favorite fruit." And in the interview, I go, "What's your favorite fruit?" Yeah, I already know the answer before you say it, but I have to ask it because the public needs to hear you say that answer. So when she's asking him, when she's saying like, "Did you ask the president?" I mean, she's Lois. She hangs out with him every day. She already knows he probably didn't ask, but she has to ask that question. It is her professional duty to ask the hard hitting questions to get those facts to the public. She can't just write a piece and be like, Superman didn't ask for permission. And then people will be like, "How do you know? Did you ask the question?" And she's like, "Oh, I just know." You can't do that. You have to get that on record. So she asked the questions that needed to be asked. Superman didn't necessarily like being asked those questions, but I'm sure he understands these are questions that need to be asked from a journalistic standpoint. But yeah, again, like I said, I'll say it over and over again about that scene. I think they did an exceptional job putting together the aspects of how that should play out. Whoever they brought in to help them design the setup for that, they did a good job.
That is a good point. I think the next scene was, I don't know if it was Rick Flags kid or whoever. The government discussion scene where Lex is like telling them, doesn't his Fortress of Solitude break a bunch of government laws in regards to like where you can position bases and stuff? That entire scene, I was just like straight up doing like a Batman stare at Lex Luthor. I was annoyed by him in that scene. What do you think about that scene at the, what is it, the Pentagon?
I remember he was in the we'll say it's the Pentagon. I don't know exactly what place it was specifically, but it had a war room design to it. Um, I'll be honest, I very much don't remember most of that scene. I remember him being in there and him basically being like, like give me the power to do stuff, blah 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 blah. Like I remember I can't say I remember that specific part of dialogue in it. I mean, I've only watched it once so far. I was going to go see it yesterday, but my schedule just got away from me and I didn't get around to it. Um, so yeah, I can't really comment too much on that scene because I can't say I remember a lot about it. I remember the design of the place they were in, and I remember there's several people sitting in there, but I can't say I remember any of the conversation pieces.
So that scene was very small. I mean, that that's like basically all that happened. It was like, hey, we're introducing Rick Flag. I'm just gonna say Junior, and Lexi is annoying. I'm pretty sure like that's all the scene was. I know in your review, you talked about a certain character, and that is the next scene. Assuming I don't really, have these. I think I have these in chronological order. Jimmy Olsen. Apparently, a lot of girls at the Daily Planet like him.
Yeah, right. I don't know where they got that from. I don't know. Like, I fully admit all the time, like, I am not a hardcore comic lore knower. I read some comics as a kid, some, but not a lot. I certainly didn't go to the store every week buying new comics. In my entire youth, I maybe read like 50 comics. You know, not a lot compared to the people that have probably read 400 just of Superman. So I don't know if there's a timeline where Jimmy Olsen is a ladies' man, but it was kind of a little weird. Like, I didn't hate it, just it's a vibe I don't get of Jimmy Olsen. I've never considered Jimmy Olsen to be a ladies' man. And the fact that there was like girls at the Daily Planet just like oohing and awing over him. Then you had Lex's girl like obsessing over him, like not even just like liking him, but obsessing over him. Kind of an interesting take for Jimmy.
Yeah, I just like typically like just that scene. I was just like basically like Batman, serious and brooding. I didn't think much of that scene. So the next scene, assuming I have this in chronological order, was interesting where we got Lex Luthor, Ultraman, and the Engineer going into the Fortress of Solitude. I'm gonna say that the best character on the villain side was the Engineer, because like throughout the movie she does a lot of crazy stuff with her nanites. We had I think we had Crypto try and defend the fortress. What did you think about that scene?
Um, I mean, I understand where they're going with some of the stuff. Like, they needed a way for Lex to come up with information to further the plot so that he can show Superman as possibly being a bad guy. And the only way to do that was get that hidden message of his parents that was corrupted. Um, and the only way to do that is get into the fortress. I mean, it's a little bit of movie magic that all the pieces he needed to go aligned up perfectly for him. First, Engineer had to find out that there was a hidden base, and she just happened to be there at the time that it was retracting back into the ground. Then they had to get there, find the way in. Once they were in there, find the way into the system. Then they were in there. They found a piece of, discussion, and it just happened to have a coded message that no one else, even Superman, had seen. It's a lot of like lucky breaks for that to plan out, but that's movies. Movie magic does that all the time. Um, as far as the Engineer individually, when I did my breakdown in my video, I realized I didn't really talk about her. She's fine. Um, the fact that I didn't talk about her in my breakdown kind of tells you how much I really maybe paid attention to her. I don't think she did anything terribly outstanding, but also nothing terribly problematic. Um, Her character was very active in the story, but I like she's on a team where you have Lex, that's the brains, and you have Ultraman, that's the brawn, and she's more like, what would you like? Like, I don't know how to
Support.
describe.
You would, in gaming terms, you would describe a character like that as the support character.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, yeah. So like, a kind of a little like, she's not forgettable, because I mean, if you asked me to name all the characters in the show, she would be on my list, but she wouldn't be like the top three names I come up with, right? She would be like 10th. So like, she's there, and I remember her as a character, but she didn't like stand out to me. But she also didn't do anything that put her on a list where I'm like, oh, her character was a problem because of this. There are other characters, obviously, as you saw in my review, that I'm just like, their characters, and even Jimmy Olsen being a ladies' man, I was kind of like, what? Like, there were character choices that James made for people that I'm like, I don't know about that. But her, she just kind of was there. Like, I don't mean kind of just was there in that she was there. I mean, kind of just she was there in the fact that she didn't do anything memorable or problematic.
Regard Now, this is a big debate online in regards to the back half of the message that the parents sent. And according to James Gunn said online, that's from a comic. I have no idea what comic that is. Do you think that the route they went was a good choice, or they should have just made the back half of the message something else?
Yeah, I didn't like it. Again, I have not read 8,000 different Superman comics. I've read maybe 8 to 10 in my life. Um, I don't remember there ever being one where his parents were bad people. Like, I don't know that storyline. And just because that storyline exists, I don't know if it's the one you should have went with in film. And I don't think it's one you should have went with in film with when you are uh tent pulling your next franchise off of this character, because now everyone's just got this idea that, like, yeah, Superman's a great person, but he came from some pretty shitty people, and I don't know if you really should have done that. I don't know. Like, I feel like there should have been another way Lex got an upper hand on him. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel like about that scene because I mean, yeah, like the back half is disturbing, but I mean, I've already seen like the family side being far more disturbing in a certain show. Like, I think you know what I'm referring to. If you need detail, I can say it, but or we can just go to the next scene. Your choice.
Do what you want to do.
All right, I guess since like there's probably gonna be people who get mad. Like, you know that one show regarding God Complex Girl, like the parents. Yeah, yeah.
I
His
knew,
like
so before we came on here, I knew at some point you were going to bring up her name. Like, I 100% knew at some point you're going to bring up her name. Obviously, because there's a character in the movie with it. I knew at some point this was coming up. We got
well,
there faster than I thought.
I like Millie's version of Supergirl, and we can
I
like
don't.
take that.
I don't. I think it's a horrible decision to play her that way. I don't. I did not like. That was my worst character in the show. Um, Having her be a drunk, bratty teen type character, insufferable. I'm never watching that movie if that's how her character is going to be. Like, I don't know why they did that. Like, I
Um,
understand why I understand why they did it, in the sense of, like, they're trying to appeal to the tween girls out there who actually think like that. But your core fan base isn't going to like it.
so in regards to the show, right?
Yeah.
And like even though like that series is known for manipulative writing, at least that I've noticed, the Zor-El family actually, and this is like from season 2, the Zor-El
Okay.
family became rich by creating weapons of mass destruction that did mass
Oh.
genocide across multiple planets. If you
Oh.
look at season 2, episode 8, titled Medusa, they literally made apparently a contract with the military to create these weapons that apparently can take out all aliens except for Kryptonians and humans, apparently. And it makes you wonder, like, okay, how'd you test this weapon? And
Mm.
you'll be like, you launched it off world, didn't you? Because if the Earth, the Fortress of Solitude, had apparently all the ingredients to make this bioweapon to the point where Cadmius is able to even create the weapon, that's disturbing, because if you look at Superman lore, who was part of the military? Zod. Zod was a part of the military at that time, so it makes you wonder. So the Zor-El family created weapons of mass destruction that they knew was intended, that was going to be used for mass genocide of who knows how many planets. Gave that over to Zod, and yet your main character, you claim that your main character is like not happy with this factor, but she acts like a complete douchebag a few episodes later. And it's like, yeah, there's a scene where she legitimately is acting racist because she's like
Yeah.
accusing James Olsen.
I mean,
Like, oh,
I'm
you can't
I'm
change, no
sure
one else can. And
I'm
like,
sure you're aware that I can't give an opinion on that because I never watched the show. So
yeah, it's disturbing because it's like, I'm sorry, did you just accuse James Olsen not being capable of change just because he's a different type of species from you and Monel? Like, you and Monel are species who are born with powers, and you're saying James Olsen cannot change, a character who's been there since episode 1, and you're claiming he cannot change because his DNA, his species, is one
I
that's
do
not born with powers?
I do think you're getting a little off track of talking about the movie here.
Oh no, that's like where I'm gonna end it. Like, even though the Superman movie scene, like his parents, like had that weird dark message, at least we get to see that this Superman, he's not happy about that. He wasn't happy
Right.
about the message, so I was like, I'm gonna give you guys some slack on that scene. And again, I don't know what comic James Gunn got it from. So that scene, like, if people say, "Oh, they were 110 out of 10, horrible scene," I can understand. So I'm gonna go like 5 out of 10 on that.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I've never again, I didn't watch Supergirl, so I can't compare it to the arc that you're telling me about because I don't have that comparison to make it to. But to the handful of comics and other movies I've watched of Superman in the past, I don't remember his parents ever being like that. So it was a weird take for me, you know.
And that's one of the good things about movies is that you can have different opinions like this. And that's one of the
Mm.
reasons I wanted to invite you to the stream, because we can have discussions like this on, I guess we can say, questionable scenes of James Gunn. So the next scene we get is of the small creature that ends up turning into a big creature, only to be eliminated by the Justice. I don't
Oh
know if I
yeah,
can
yeah,
say
yeah,
that
yeah.
word. So the Justice team, and
The Justice Unit.
yeah, the Justice Unit. Let's just call them that. I noticed one interesting detail, that Hawk Girl actually does scream like a hawk. She does that like 3 times throughout the movie.
Mm.
But I think the main part of that scene, well, actually, you could say the squirrel saving part is, because I saw you mention that, where Superman would absolutely save a squirrel. The Justice Unit, as you refer to, eliminated a creature, or at least that's what's assumed based off of the X-ray vision, and Superman's not happy about that. What do
Right.
you think about that entire scene?
Uh, so I think we're supposed to understand from that the Justice Unit uh, does not care about saving things. Their end goal is end the threat, and if end the threat means end its existence, that's perfectly okay with them. They kind of have that like they have like a peacemaker mentality in that like they will end any man, woman, child to get peace mentality, right? They don't need the creature to be captured for them to have succeeded in their mission. They just need it to no longer be a threat, no matter what no matter what lengths they have to go to get that result.
So this is like I'm just gonna call it the back half of the same scene,
Right.
where Lex Luthor reveals to the public the Kryptonian message, and
Yep.
I saw in your review that there was some questionable chronological order. What do you think about that scene?
A questionable chronological order. Oh, do you mean about people like believing the message before it had even played out? Is that the
Yeah,
part you're talking
that
about?
part.
Yeah,
That part.
like so that scene, like I don't understand what they're trying to do in that scene because the way I remember it, and again, I've only watched it once so far, is the video is playing live right now, like we are right now, live. If I said something 25 seconds from now that is outrageous and horrifying, you can't be shocked by it right now because I haven't said it yet. But these people all watching their phones or watching it on a big screen somewhere are already looking at Superman with doubt and suspicion before they've heard something. Then, on top of it, once they do hear it, the first half of the message, Clark looks around like, what's so bad about that? And you have people being, I can't remember if it was one of the Justice people said it or like a random, it's just like, just wait for the rest. And then when we get to the rest and the rest of the message plays, then everyone just turns on him that fast. I don't know what world this is in. Obviously, it's a fictional world. But in our world, there would be half the people right away would be like, I can't believe you're what a horrible person you are. There'd be another half that would be like, okay, I'm going to need some, credible sources verifying this. And even once I hear some credible sources verifying this, I don't know. Have you seen the stuff he's done? It's pretty heroic. Like, we don't live in a world where 98% of the people are going to believe something right away. Doesn't matter. They could see it with their own eyes. I could slap someone right there. And at least a couple people in the crowd that were watching it happen would be like, I don't know if that's what I saw. And they were physically there watching it. So how am I? That scene blew my mind. Like, how are you guys turning on him before you even heard the message? And then even after the message, how are like 97, 98% of you so sure? I don't understand.
In that scene, we start out with the actual message itself, which obviously is in a Kryptonian language, and
Mhm.
then you get the translated part. But you're
Yeah.
right about that scene being odd. I don't know. Was that a scene like? Was that a scene that they just like filmed and they're like, no, we don't need to reshoot that scene.
I so I have two thought processes on this. One is either they filmed a scene in there somewhere that got cut that made it more sensible and we didn't get to see that part, or in the editing somebody maybe put, no, because that wouldn't make any sense either. I was going to say somehow they maybe put like a scene here that was supposed to be here, and then they put that there, making this scene there. Like, the more I think about it, that doesn't sound as probable. The only other logical thing is like there was a scene, you know, even if it's like 8 seconds long, that like explains some part of why that was the way it was. But I can't think of a scene that would justify all of those little pieces. It might justify one piece, but I just pointed out like 3 holes, 4 holes in that the problem of that scene, and you might be able to justify away one part. I don't know.
What did you think of? So I think this is the next scene. What did you think the scene? Where's my dog? Where he flew into Lex's office and he's like, "You took the dog." What did you think about that scene?
um, it's a scene. I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing earth shattering. It's nothing. Wow. Like, he knows Lex took it, and we know Lex took it. It's just to advance the story plot. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's a deep scene.
Yeah, you're right. The only thing I can get from that scene is that goes back to my point about how this Superman is not at the Tyler Hoechlin point where he, because we've seen Tyler Hoechlin's Superman interact with Lex Luthor. It was in the final season, and at the end he's like, "Oh, nice tie," and then he leaves, and like that's when Lex like throws a tie because Lex is like angry apparently.
Right.
It's like, so this Superman, he's not at that point, so I can see why like he's not lashing out. He is lashing out and not calm like Tyler Hackman Superman. That's all I got from that scene.
Sure. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's not a impactful scene to me. To me, it's just advancing the point that he knows crypto, like that Lex has crypto, and we're gonna get to that part of the story coming up.
So we get a scene regarding Superman and Lois, not the show, no reference intended. Where he's talking about the message of the parents, and you managed to remember this much better than I did. I saw in your review. It was an imp, a glowing imp thing in the back, and I think he said he was looking for the dog at that point. So, was that actually happening during the movie when he was looking for the dog? Like, was there really a giant alien imp thing that the Justice Unit, like you called it, the Justice Unit was fighting? Or did
Yeah.
I remember that scene wrong?
So when they were having that conversation in the apartment, and you can see in the background, you even see it in the promotional material. I can't remember if it was one of the trailers or a still photo. You can see in the background there is a big glowing thing in the sky, and once in a while you would see Guy Gardner's like green beam shoot at it. Like you don't actually see the Justice Unit out there individually, but you're given the impression they're out there by once in a while seeing like a green something going at the creature, and the creature's just like glowing off like, I don't know what's spraying off, but something. The only part of it that I remember they called it was I think it was like an interdimensional imp or something like I can't remember the exact term he called it, but it was just they're having this fight literally 4 seconds or less for Superman to fly to outside the apartment, and he's more concerned about talking to Lois about, I don't remember what the topic is about now, instead of helping them take this down. And I mean, I don't know what that thing does, but it looked like it'd be problematic.
Well, that was a hologram that was over a building that they did to show what happened during the fight. Because that's what the impression I got is that like Superman, she mentioned like the imp thing, and he's like, oh, I was looking for the dog at that time. So that's like where the confusion comes from, because you're telling me that I get the dog's important, but where in the city was like the actual fight that the hologram is replaying? And I saw on the hologram, you saw Hawk Girl and you saw Mr. Terrific on his, I'm just gonna call it floating chair.
I
So
thought it
that
was
was a
right outside
hologram.
their apartment.
No, I don't know if I don't know where in the United States they have these, but or where in Canada. You know, you always have buildings and you always have holograms above them somehow, or like hologram on a building. That based on the color and based on the transparency, that was definitely a hologram. And I assume based off of Lois's words that fight was early in the day. I'm just confused as to how the heck that situation even happened. Because you had to fight earlier with the giant, I'm just gonna call it dinosaur creature thing. But where did this imp come from?
Got me?
Alright, so we get the scene afterwards because he told Lois that he was gonna turn himself in. So Superman turns himself in and he's taken to what I'm just gonna refer to as Lex's forward operating base. I'm not
Right.
gonna, even though it's not a bunch of tents, that's basically what you call it. That's what the military term will be. Forward operating base. And we go through I don't know why I'm saying topic, the pocket dimension. We get
Yeah.
to see that. We see scenes of Lex having a bunch of prisoners. We get, apparently, we get the monkeys, and Superman's like, oh, that's where, Superman's like, super shit. Apparently that's where
Yeah.
that came from. That came from the monkeys. And yeah, that's basically like, I thought that scene was honestly dark. Like, I think they put a lot of CGI into that, pocket dimension. I thought that, the scenes in the pocket dimension were, really good. And honestly, that prison thingy, because even Lex said, like, it's even a bunch of government personnel who don't like people. They also, like, sent them here. And Lex said one of his exes or something along the lines. The monkey one, obviously, is, what was it that the monkey one reminded me of? I forgot what it was. But yeah, the monkey part is obviously funny, but the rest of the scene is honestly dark because of like it's just like normal people mostly in those glass boxes. What do you think about that segment of the movie?
Okay, so I think that is to establish the fact that Lex is an awful person, and we really see that on display when he plays that game with the guy who was just nice to Superman, and I can't remember if he gave him a falafel or something. Something he did nice for him, and we see that guy earlier in the movie. And I want to keep calling him Clark. Superman tells him like, "You got to get out of here. Like, it's not safe to be around me." Um, so Lex uses that guy as a bargaining chip against Superman, and then we see Lex does not get the answers he wants, and that guy pays a substantial price for it. These scenes are made to make you realize Lex Luthor is a terrible person, willing to do absolutely anything to get the upper hand against Superman. So having all those prisoners just shows his pettiness and his ego, and that he is not concerned with anybody else's well-being. Even his girlfriend's well-being does not matter to him. We see that later in the movie. Um, Nobody's well-being matters to him. All that matters is, will it benefit me? Will I be the winner in the end? And so yeah, people like the one that was right beside his stall, she was in there because she wrote a negative article about Lex. Like, I wish we'd got to see a few more of the characters and find out why they were there. But you get the impression like he will attack anybody who has a negative view of him or says something negative about him, you know? Um,
Yeah, so
yeah.
a part of that scene we get uh I I forgot what you call him. I think you called him Kryptonite Man
Yeah, I
in your
did.
review.
There was a name
It's
for him, like, sorry, continue.
oh, that is the name that you're looking for, Metamorpho.
Yes. I found that
That's
out after the fact, but when I did the review, I did not have the common sense to look it up. Same as I now know that it's Eve Tessmacher, that's the girlfriend. In my review, I just kept calling her Lex's girlfriend, but now I know who the character name. But at the
don't
time, I
worry
did not.
about don't worry about not remembering names. In my Stranger Things season 5 trailer reaction earlier, I totally forgot what the name of David Harbour's character was. When I've seen all the seasons, I was like, I spent like 10 seconds. What was his name again? I totally
Sometimes,
forget names
yeah,
too. Yeah.
sometimes things just like you don't get them for a second.
So, we're just gonna skip the stuff regarding Jimmy Olsen and Eve, like you said, Eve Tessmacher. I don't think there's much to discuss regarding the street scene. I mean, the main part really was that, like, she told him where Superman was.
Yeah. The only thing I will say, I saw this on someone else's discussion, was Jimmy comes off as a bit of an asshole there for treating her the way, like, right there, Jimmy, you can you know tell her, you know a day or two later, yeah, like, yeah, no, I don't think this is going to work out, but in that moment you need to just suck it up and be like, yeah, sure, come and see me. Like, you need to get her out of that situation. But outside of that, yeah, we can skip the scene because it was just there to give us that info.
So, I think the next scene was Lois goes to the, well, like you said, we're just gonna call them the Justice Unit, goes to
Hmm.
the headquarters, which I'm sure like you figured it out that it's the same building that was used in the Arrowverse. It's a train station, right? The headquarters. That's like in real life. It's a train station.
Well, it wasn't filmed here.
Oh, it wasn't.
No, it's filmed in Cleveland.
Is that also where the Arrowverse did their headquarters thing too?
Nope, nope, that was filmed here. Arrowverse is a old, well, not old. I mean, technically it's still in use, but I don't know if it's still an airport hangar. but it used to be an airport hangar at an airport. I don't know if they still use it for planes, but that's where theirs was. This is not the same building.
Wait, so for the Arrowverse, they used to, uh, like you said, a airport hangar?
Yeah.
But in Crisis on Infinite Earths, we got an exterior, and it looked like what the Justice League building looks like in the comics. So did they just get like a random building scene?
I think what they did is they took a building that was close enough and then they just CGI'd maybe extra parts that needed to look closer to it. Because that happens a lot. Like there's a show I used to watch here. It is a Vancouver show based in Vancouver, all that stuff. And for the longest time, I'm like, where is this apartment that they do all the filming at? Like it's a real location apartment. Where is it? Because it's supposed to be right in the heart of downtown Vancouver. And I'm like, I can't find it anywhere. To find out, it was at the complete other end of Vancouver, and they had just photoshopped in all the buildings around it. So they took the entire downtown like scene and just plopped it behind this building that has nothing around it in like the other end of Vancouver. So they probably did something like that with this building. They found the building as close as they could find to the Hall of Justice. Like they're like, this is like a 75% replicate of the Hall of Justice. We just need to in post add a column here, add a column there, some glasses here, and we've got the building, you know? So that's probably the same thing they did in Vancouver. They just picked the building that they're like, this is close enough, and then they just add some other pieces in with CGI, you know? Because it's not like the building is being in full use 20 like we don't see a full out scene outside the building where people are running around and there could be moments where you see the building not like be all CGI. We get a still image of it for a few seconds and then they move indoors, right?
Yeah.
And
So
on the in the movie all we see is the exterior of the building, and I think they're like fixing the sign or something like that. And that's all you see of it.
we get the we got the interior, and I looked it up online. I think it was a train station. Unless I'm wrong, like I'm just gonna refer to it as a train station.
Okay.
But there's a scene where it's like if you blink you miss it, where they have a painting on the wall, and it's of the Justice Society of America. One of the characters
Okay.
is Vibe. You get one of the knights. You get Jay Garrick. You get Doctor Fate and a bunch of others. Now I cannot like actually pull up that image online. You could probably just find it online, but I cannot pull it up because copyright and various other aspects of that. Uh, but that's just like some of the characters I remember. Do you think that scene was added there as just an Easter egg? Or do you think that they're actually being like, hey, by the way, we're going to make a Justice Society movie down the line?
Probably just an Easter egg, if I'm being honest. But who knows? It could be one of those things where it's an Easter egg now, but in 4 years, suddenly James Gunn's like, you know what? We can pay off that one photo that we had in the background 4 years ago. Like, could be something like that where it's not in his uh, list of things he's planning right now. But in 4 years, maybe he suddenly one day goes, I think we can make something out of this. And it could end up something. But I would say as of right now, I think it's just an Easter egg.
I just want Pierce Brosnan to just come back as Dr. Fate. That's all I need.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm only like this stream is gonna only be like 35 more minutes just because I actually have to go at in like 35 minutes. So probably have to like speed up a little.
Yep. I was just thinking the same thing.
So we got the scene regarding Mr. Terrific fighting the Raptors. That's what Lex's army is called. Apparently,
Okay.
Michael Rosenbaum voiced one of the Raptors. I don't
Yeah,
know
I saw
what
that in
scene that was.
IMDb list. Yeah. That's kind of
Yeah,
funny,
I
yeah.
don't know about that, but like, what do you think about that scene regarding Mr. Terrific?
Which scene? Mr. Terrific.
Uh, right before they go into the portal, like with Lois, and he ends up fighting the
Oh, when
Raptors.
he kicks everyone's ass at the base.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was fun. I like that. Um, it was good to actually see him do something. Like we see a lot of technology based stuff from him, but we never get to see him show off his combat skill much. And he got to kick some ass out there. It was fun, and I think that was one of the scenes in the movie that really sold me on the character because I was liking his character, but I wasn't loving the character yet. And then when finally got to see him like go kick some ass by himself with no guy and no hawk girl around to pitch in, I was like, I definitely want to see more of this now.
what do you think about comparing him to the one we got in the Arrowverse?
No disrespect to Echo Kellum. I love the guy. He did a great job with the material he was given, but this is a better version, I think.
I like both versions. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
I well,
I would have said I like Mr. Echo Kellum's version of Mr. Terrific up until I saw this version, and I still think I like his version. I just think this is a better version.
well, he is like not the Arrowverse one, obviously, but because the Arrowverse is over. The movie one, he is apparently contracted to make multiple appearances
Yeah, I
or be
heard.
in
Yeah,
multiple movies. Um, so the entire sequence in the pocket dimension where they do the rescuing, you see the I totally forgot what the name is. I'm just gonna call it dangerous water, and then you get the black hole sequence. What'd you think about that? I just like how good the CGI looked in that scene.
I'll say this: the CGI was passable most of the time, but there were a couple of times when they were in the river, the whatever he called it, antimatter river or something along those lines. Um, yeah, less good. But I mean, out of an entire movie where probably like 40% of it is CGI, that was the only time where it really I kind of like I don't quite 100% buy this part. But I would say if I were given their overall grade for CGI in this movie, it's still like an A minus. Like I think it was very good most of the time, but in that river of whatever it was, there was a couple of times, excuse me, there was a couple of times where I was kind of like, it's a little shaky.
Alright, so the next scene, um, so Lex Luthor, ends up, like you said, he's, so focused on winning that he legitimately causes a rip in the
Yeah.
fabric of time. What'd you think about that? Were you like, yeah, classic Lex Luthor, or, okay,
Oh
this is going
yeah,
too far?
yeah, yeah. So like I think I said in my review, and I may have even said it here earlier. Like Lex is so obsessed with beating Superman, he will destroy the Earth to do it. He does not care that he may die doing it, long as Superman dies as well. All that he cares is I got the upper hand on Superman. That's all. If he outlives Superman for 1/50,000th of a second, he'll be like, haha, I beat him. Doesn't matter. So him destroying the planet to get his way, completely that's what I expect from Lex Luthor. Um, it's interesting because I didn't really talk about the rift in my video. I just kind of glossed over it somehow. But yeah, it's funny all these things always happen in Metropolis. It didn't happen in like Cleveland or something or Philadelphia. Like they could have picked any other city for it to happen, but of course it's in Metropolis. That just has to be where the black hole, it's funny. But yeah, it was such a Lex thing to do to just potentially destroy the world just so he could win.
Do you think them apparently having the code to shut down the rift was just like pure plot armor? Because, let's face it, realistically, if you cause a rip in the space time continuum, that technically shouldn't be repairable.
Okay, so as much as I just said, like Lex will do anything to destroy, he's willing to destroy the world to get the upper hand. At the same time, he's still a genius. So a guy of his intellect probably is like, hey, if I defeat Superman and the world's not destroyed, I'd probably still like to live. So he's probably going to have a backup plan. Like he at the end of the day, if he beats Superman, Superman's dead or whatever the case is, and he's still alive, he's probably like, hey, we should stop this. Like, so he's gonna probably have an off switch.
So again, this is the next scene is a topic that both of us like essentially prefer to just skip, and it's regarding Jimmy Olsen and Eve Tessmacher. So she
Mm,
sends him a bunch of images. At first, he's just like, okay, these are just random images. I don't need to see it. But Lois
yeah,
figures out like it's not her that's the focus. It's what's behind it. So
yeah,
Lex's plan like basically goes down the drain at that point. What do you think
yeah.
about the way they did that scene? Like, do you think they should have found another way to get the information to the hero team, or do you think that was a smart way for a character
Um,
like Eve Tessmacher, who takes a bunch of pictures a lot, actually being smart enough to be like, the information's in the back?
I like it a bit, but I do see one flaw in it, and that's that Eve never explained where the information in these photos was. She just sent the gallery of photos to him and expected him to figure it out on his own. And if it weren't for Lois, we may never have got that answer. Jimmy didn't figure it out. Jimmy had the photos and was just like, oh, this dumbass, she just sent me a bunch of photos that show nothing. Only Lois figured it out, once she saw it. If Lois had never seen that, we never get that information. So I'm a lit like it, you know, there's a little bit of that just like uh Hollywood magic, I call it, where just coincidence just happens to line up with the way the story needs it to. Because Lois doesn't see that, we have a different outcome to this movie. Lois wasn't the one that the images were sent to. They were sent to Jimmy, and Jimmy just dismissed them. So, a little luck,
I think the
little luck.
reason she didn't, I think the reason she didn't explain those is because Lex found out and she quickly hit the send button.
Yeah.
But like one thing that was odd about that is, like you said, a gallery of images. Technically, you wouldn't be able to like attach that many files and send them. So that was like okay, and then you gotta wonder why didn't Lex catch on to that? If Lex is this genius who can cause a rift in space-time continuum and apparently be able to like close it as well, why didn't Lex think, who was she talking to on the phone?
I think I can actually kind of answer that a little bit in that that's Lex's tunnel vision. Lex is, again, so obsessed with his problem with Superman, he's not worrying about any secondary problems around him. He only has eyes for destroying Superman, and he looks at the dumb bimbo at his side as couldn't possibly have caused a problem, right? And he's just like, I'm going to take down Superman, and that's all that matters. Her, she's just an annoyance. So I think he just overlooked her because he didn't think she could possibly have done anything like problematic. What could a random girl that he just like lets hang out possibly do?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Regarding Lex's tunnel vision, especially when a lot of villains, like even in Marvel, they have a lot of tunnel vision, as he called it. The next group of scenes, we're just gonna group them based off of how much time's left. So we got the fight in the football field, which straight up just shows how creepy and deadly the engineer character is you got Ultraman there, then eventually you get you get Crypto helping Superman defeat Ultraman. Now Engineer, she is when she gets like I'm just gonna say defeated by Superman, like doing the flying up and then the flying down at I don't know what Mach. The computer lady mentioned that she had a heart, and I think her face is skin. The rest of her is just nanites, and she uses that to like go into his eyes, into his mouth, to the brain, and into his lungs. That is one of the most
Yeah.
creepy characters I have ever seen. Were you shocked that a character of that creep factor was in this movie when you see like the tone of the movie?
I mean, not really. I mean, we've already discussed that there's some, like there's a couple of scenes in this movie that maybe aren't for I don't know the word I'm looking for. I don't really think so. That's about the only way I could say it. Like, I think it is again a very Luger. No, Luthor had it right the first time. Lex Luger. You gotta be kidding me. Lex Luthor thing to have a side character or assistant that would do horrible things to Superman, right? So would anyone be surprised to find out Lex has somebody at his side that's willing to strangle Superman from the inside? Because that's basically what she's doing. She's choking or strangling him from the inside. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that kills him necessarily because it's not kryptonite. I mean, it certainly diminishes his ability. I don't know if it should technically kill him though, because it's not excuse me, kryptonite. So I don't know.
Well, are Kryptonians made out of steel on the inside?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
So the next group of scenes is again you have a better pronunciation of the country, but like you said, the Justice Unit, they went to deal with that battle. I know by a review that you're like, yeah, I kind of wanted Superman to show up there. Why
Yeah.
do you think that? Do you think the Justice Gang showing up there was just because we wanted to show the character development they had, where from like you said, how they were dealing with the Beast, they just wanted to defeat it, but now they're acting a little bit more Superman-like in regards to situations? Because
Yeah.
originally they didn't want to help out when they were in the I'm just gonna call it the I don't know what the headquarters of their called Hall of Justice or what will be the Hall of Justice. Do you think it was just the character development just for that team,
Yeah.
or they
I
legitimately
think
should have just had Superman?
I think that was specifically chosen that way to show that the justice group has started to realize like, hey, we need to do a little more good, or something along those lines. Like they saw the scenes on TV or wherever they were watching it and were kind of just like, we could we could help, but we're not supposed to because we haven't been scheduled to go do it. But why can't we go do it? Like, there was that moment where they finally realize, um, we could play a role in this. We could help, and something comes over them to help, and it's that little bit of character development that those characters need. Because up until that point, I only kind of liked Hawk Girl, and I still was annoyed with Guy Gardner. I find Guy Gardner's character kind of annoying. Um, but when he goes and helps, that annoyance level went from like here down to like here, like almost tolerable at that point. Like, I'm kind of slowly inching towards not hating the character. Um, so yeah, it's that little bit of character development you need in a character like that, especially because if somewhere down the line we get some scene or some movie where they carry more screen time. You can't have these guys playing the parts of jerks for the entirety of the movie. There's got to be some level of heart to their characters. So you have to start that path somewhere. But we got to wrap this up in like the next 6 or 7 minutes for
yeah,
me.
yes, yeah, that makes sense. So we'll just like skip the part about Superman fighting the Raptors. No idea how like that many people even decided to sign up for like to be a part of Lex Luthor's thing. So we get the scene in uh, Lex's ridiculous floating office spaceship thing. Where Superman's like, that's where you're wrong, Lex. I actually am a lot like humans. I forgot the full line. Um, that just reminded me of Superman Lois, where I mean, I literally have the quote on under my name right there, where he says that I'm just a regular guy. What do
Okay.
you think about that scene?
Um, do I remember that scene? I know, like I can visualize everything going on around it, but what do I remember that scene?
Well, based on your review, you remember the part where Crypto threw Lex across the room.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's about the only part that you really remember from that scene, though, right? Like, and that's not anything to do with Superman and Lex. That's Crypto and Lex. I can't honestly say I remember much of anything from the Lex and Superman part of that scene. I'm sure there's something, but I can't remember it.
Okay, like in terms of order, the next scene is the Supergirl scene,
Hmm.
which we discussed earlier, and if you want to discuss that now, we could. Here's what
Yeah,
we
I
see.
mean, I've already made my opinion kind of known on that one. Is like having her. This is everybody in this universe's first visualization of this character. You're introducing this character that's going to have her own solo movie right now to the public, and you sell her as a ditzy party going drunk. I don't know what to do with that. I like James Gunn. I've enjoyed everything that I've seen of his so far. I'm not going to see Supergirl though if that's the type of character he's selling me.
Oh, that's not the type of character. I don't like obviously like the stream we had a long time ago where James Gunn announced the slate. Remember the original name, and obviously like now it's gonna be called Supergirl. The original name was Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and I've read the first two out of the I want to say 8 issues of that. So her character is not like the party girl that you said. When she was 14, she lost Krypton. She was sent to the Phantom Zone, and she like so she for her Krypton's destruction is like yesterday, right? It's like comparing a baby who went through some trauma most likely doesn't remember it because that's what Superman was, and then you compare
Right.
them to like a teenager who's like, yeah, I remember this traumatic event and it was a big part of my character. So she was 14 when she lost Krypton. She lost her family. She saw to her because of her age. She remembers people getting terminated, and when we meet her in the Superman movie, she is a lot like Superman. She's human, but while Superman's like the hopeful side of humanity, she represents people who are going through trauma and how trauma affects them because there are people who try to deal with trauma by drinking a certain beverage. We have people who go through that and then they go through,
Mhm.
you know, uh, therapy and stuff, and they decrease the amount of the beverage they drink, and they become a better person at the end of that tunnel. When
Sure.
we meet her in Superman, she is 20 years old, and then when we meet her at the volume 1 of the Woman of Tomorrow storyline, have video where I read that comic, but I haven't made videos on that in like what, a year. It's her 21st birthday, and she still hasn't been able to go through that going past trauma phase that many people go through. And I think that's the entire point of the Woman Torch line. Because this girl who lost her father to a criminal, she's looking for somebody to hire, and she's like, I will give you this sword, this prized possession in my family that's been for generations, if you help me get justice. Like, stop the criminal that took my father away from me. So the secondary character is also somebody who's trying to deal with their trauma, just like Supergirl is. And both characters are trying to get to the point where they can get past that trauma. And she tries to go to this guy who's known for context, except he wants to fight her instead, and that's when she meets Supergirl, who's like, man, I was just dealing with my own stuff. And she then is like, she's not the Supergirl that we need, like that we're used to. She's getting to that point, similar to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, who didn't start out as the Spider-Man we're used to. He got to that point at the end of No Way Home. And that's the entire point of Sterling. She's much younger than Superman, who is 36 while she is 21. So you get that similarity between Justice League Unlimited, where you're dealing with a much younger Supergirl, compared to Superman, who's much older.
That's fine, but I honestly, a movie watching a super character go through therapy is not going to interest me. Like, that character right now is not selling the movie to me. They can have that character. She can have an entire storyline in comic books going through that. But if you want me to watch a movie about her, I don't want to watch Superman going, or Supergirl going through therapy.
She doesn't go through. Okay, I probably should have used better wording. She doesn't go through
coping therapy, whatever you want to call it. Like, she's looking to just like other people do when they use substances, escape from the issues she's dealt with or she's gone through. And I honestly don't want to watch an hour or 2 hours of that. I want to watch her be a superhero. If that's not the story they want to sell me, I'm probably not interested in watching it.
Considering the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and this movie of James Gunn, I feel like it probably have a tone like a combination of Thunderbolts and Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I think
Thunderbolts did an A+ job at dealing with mental health issues. I don't know if I need to see that from two superhero movies. I don't know how they can improve on Thunderbolts' version of it.
Do you think a trailer
there's still a chance. There's still a chance that the trailer could look great, and I'll be like, you know what? Sure, this trailer looks good enough to go see. But as of right now, without a trailer yet, we don't have a trailer yet. I only have 20 seconds of screen time to judge this character on, and this character was insufferable. Far and away the worst part of the movie. So that's the only thing I have to judge the character on at this time. Could my mind be changed several months from now when a trailer comes out? Yep, could, 101%, but not today. But I got to wrap it up here.
Yeah,
so in the next 90 seconds or less.
Yeah. So I like your point of view where you're someone who's basing it off of the 90 seconds, while I'm someone who knew it was the Woman of Tomorrow storyline and has read 2 of the 8 issues. Mm-hmm. The last thing I'm gonna say, because we gotta wrap it up, is once again, thank you for willing to show up. I don't know down the line when our next team up will be. Are you watching Fantastic Four by any chance?
Not even 1% chance. I watched the first one back whenever that was, like, I don't know, the 90s, early 2000s, and it was awful. It was god awful. And I remember seeing part of one of the other ones, And again, I did not like it. So I don't see why I would watch a redone version of a movie I didn't like twice. So no, I have zero interest in seeing it. Seeing it.
All right. All right. Well, I will say to my viewers, right now it's unknown when Canadagraphs and I will team up. Maybe Comic Con, maybe during Stranger Things. I don't know. Maybe D23. But on the behalf of my viewers, thank you for taking your time to show up here, have an amazing discussion. You have a good week.
All right. Have a good one, and thanks for having me on. Bye.
If you watch this stream live, thank you for watching the stream live. If you're watching the stream when, like, you just, like, watch it when it's basically, like, up there for anyone to watch, then thank you for watching. If you're watching this in the morning, have a good morning. If you're watching this in the evening, have a good evening. If you're watching this at night, have a good night.